all these failures of you uncommitting to what you said you would do will build in your mindset, and they'll build like plaque. It'll just start taking over. And so eventually you'll be like, you feel like shit because guess what? All your commitments that you've made to yourself, you failed.
Yep.
You haven't followed through to be able to complete them. And so the more that you do this to yourself, you're actually hindering yourself so much more. You're giving yourself so much more work that you have to undo just because you're not staying committed. That's why 75 hard was so important, because it's like I just need to finish it. All right, guys, welcome to the round table. Here another great episode with Dustin. What's going on, brother?
How's it going, guys?
How's it going, man?
It's going. How about you?
It's another beautiful day. Phenomenal day, man. I'm going to start using phenomenal.
It's cold.
It's freaking cold, dude.
It's cold.
We went out yesterday. We celebrated Valentine's a little early. We tend to do that every year. We just do it the week before, the week after.
Smart people.
We don't like to deal with all the chaos for restaurants and stuff. So we did that yesterday. And, dude, I tell you, it was bone chilly at like 7 p.m. I was like, I don't want to be out here.
Yeah, I was on my stationary bike in the driveway in the freaking cold. I was pissed because it was cold.
Do you have a moving bike, like a legit bike?
I do, but I had the kids, so I couldn't leave the house, and it was cold.
I wonder if it'd be worse. You think it'd be worse because of the wind and shit?
I was gonna go take it out, but
yeah. But that sucks, dude.
It's a commitment.
It's a commitment.
Leads into today's topic: commitment to the goals.
Ugh.
That's a good segue.
That is a good segue, dude. You're getting good at this. No, man. Yeah, commitment. That's today's episode.
Yep.
That's what we want to touch on, and I think one of the things we've noticed, at least I've noticed, is that the more we jump into different topics, they all kind of like intertwine at some point. Like we hit back with like accountability, or this one's gonna. Commitments all over everything that we've already talked to, discipline and all that type of stuff. So, yeah, man, I think where do we start? Where do we start with commitment?
So there's a lot of different commitments. We talked about this earlier this week. We're going to talk about commitment to the goals, your goals that you set, and ways that we've found to accomplish the goals that we have set for ourselves thus far.
Love
the ones that we've at least accomplished, because we both have big goals and big dreams right now. We haven't accomplished everything.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so let's jump into it. So we like to hit on struggles. That's our thing. That's the thing we can talk about, right? How we've saw struggles and been able to overcome them, right?
Yes.
And so what have been some, I guess, struggles when facing, being committed to your goals? Because that's what we're going to relate to, goal commitment, because that's what we're striving for this year. We got some goals and we're trying to be committed to them. So
the biggest struggle for me has always been my depression. Whether it's the goal of making sure I eat all my protein, drinking all my water, committed to my workouts, it's always been depression. Because for me, depression leads me to not want to eat, drink, or really do much of anything. It's a little different for everybody. Some people can still fully function, manage. Those were things that I've had to deal with, especially being on 75 hard. I've had to deal with, as you know, there's the time period during 75 hard where it gets pretty dark. You feel pretty dark. So not only did I have been dealing with that, I'm dealing with my own depression on top of that. They're just daily struggles. So being committed to finishing this has helped me overcome the struggle of the eating when I really don't want to, or making sure I drink a gallon of water. Last night, for instance, again, committed, I'm day 42, I think. I'm not sure. But I had only drank like 40 ounces of water by, I think it was about 5 o'clock, which is way behind. And as you know, that leads to a lot of water late at night.
Mm-hmm.
But I did it. I drank 80 ounces in like 30 minutes. because I knew I had to get that stuff done in order to be committed to hitting my goal for the day.
Do you feel like the commitment part, like 'cause you said depression and all the different struggles that you're kind of have faced, just in general with the 75 hard, right?
Yeah.
Is there something that you've done to alleviate, and not like to improve on that commitment? I guess.
I have set a lot of alarms and a lot of to keep track of myself. But no, I know that I need to commit to that goal. So it's really hard, the mindset I'm in, to not finish that goal. So no, I haven't done a whole lot besides setting alarms, setting reminders, just to remind myself that, hey, you need to do this. Check yourself now to make sure that you're going to complete your goal by the end of the day. Otherwise, if I didn't have some of those, like yesterday when one went off at like 5:30 was when I really noticed I was behind on a lot of my stuff. I was like, okay, well, now's your time. You're either going to fail it today or you're not.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you're committed to finishing this, and you don't want to let the shit going on in your life ruin you finishing that goal for today.
Mm-hmm.
Being committed to finishing today outright. So I use my inner struggles to say, hey, you're not going to do this, and my will of not wanting to quit, not wanting to admit, hey, I was just, depression got the best of me. Especially, and doing this too. We're here, we're in front of everybody, I'm going to fail, I'm going to have struggles, but I'm not going to do it right now.
Right.
I refuse to quit right now. I'm too far in. I'm too far dedicated. I'm not going to do it.
You're too far in. I think that's the hardest part, right? For at least for me, when I think about it as well, is when you've already started. At least if you have at least a tad bit of competitiveness in you, and you are not a complete weenie and loser, and just are okay with quitting. I think if you have at least a little bit of that, where you're just not going to give in, you can do a lot of different things.
You really can.
Just that little mindset of just being like, I refuse to quit. Just one. It's that book right behind you.
Yep.
The Power of One More.
Yep.
Don't quit for one more day, like Ed Milet says. Just do that one more thing. Like, that book transformed a lot of like mindset with this commitment stuff when I started kind of reading it, and I think you showed it to me, and it's an amazing way to attack different things, and commitment is one of those things, because it is something that you have to do daily. The moment that you let off the gas and forget one thing, your commitment is easily swayed and being like, oh, well, do I have to do that? Like,
right.
Do I have to, am I going to get it? Like, the problem with certain things is there's no actual return initially, like 75 hard.
Yeah.
There's no initial return. There's little things, I guess, that you get when you complete them. When you check that, click that button, you're like, ooh, I feel like it's just like extra, like, okay, I did something. But externally, there's nothing you're getting. Nobody's giving you a reward. Nobody's giving you. So your commitment that you found just in that is all mental. It's all you building this this struggle or this achievement in your head, and you're like, I'm doing it. And so it's allowed you to stay committed, which is freaking amazing, dude, because it's not easy.
No, and somebody that struggles a lot mentally, and it's gotten a lot worse over the years too, I am not going to let that be the defining point in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Which is another, that's one of my goals, that's another commitment to a goal, is I'm not going to let my depression run my life. I am going to run my depression. When it comes, I know how to manage it a hell of a lot better than I did when it started.
Mm-hmm.
The mood swings are a lot less. They're a lot, this is a whole nother topic. But
which I want to get into eventually, because I don't understand it enough to, and we've had this conversation with Taylor, because I don't have it. I truly believe it. Like, I think it's real. People can have it, but I don't understand it, and I definitely want to pick your brain at some point with it. But
Yeah, we're
continue.
gonna have to. But that's another goal that I'm committed to.
Mm-hmm.
That I won't let that run my life, because when it was running my life was falling apart, like completely falling apart. So I'm not going to let that run my life,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not going to give up 75 hard because of that. If I'm going to give up a big goal like 75 hard, finishing that, I'm committed to it. It's going to be because I'm so sick I can't move or eat or drink, or my body just physically cannot do anything. It broke something.
Yeah, you're in the hospital. You're
there's
physically
reasons
unable to.
outside of my control. But depression I can control.
Right.
That's something that's big with commitment in my mind. Just coming to it now. Say you have to control what you can control. That goes with everything. Because if you're committed to that goal, you're going to do everything you have and can to hit that goal, and be committed. As you have to be 100% committed. There's no 50, there's no 30, there's no 80, there's no 95. Like you said, all gas, no brake.
Mm-hmm.
Second you pull off, you've lost your commitment.
I agree. Like, I love that we talk about that, because a lot of times people forget this. And, one of my friends told me this, and I love analogies, and you'll notice this throughout the podcast. And the more you talk to me,
we both do.
I love analogies, bro, because in my brain, it's easier to compute certain things, and I love to put things side by side and really understand them and help me process certain things. But he always said, imagine commitment, right? Committed to anything, whether it be fitness, if you're wanting to start a business, if you're wanting to change your diet, if you're wanting to improve your marriage, whatever it might be. But I'm going to relate it to the business aspect, because that's what we're striving for. And so he said it. He was like, are you committed to this? I'm like, yeah, I'm committed. He's like, okay. Well, commitment is shown by action. And then he also says, imagine if you told and you're like, and somebody comes up to you and you're like, oh, like, I'm kind of like, I don't know if I want to do this. I don't know if I really want to go all the way in. I was like, imagine if your wife came up to you and she's like, I'm kind of committed. Like, I don't know. Like, I do, but I don't. Like, would your marriage work if you had that mindset? And I was like, no. Like, I wouldn't want that.
No.
And I use that all the time. Like, if I'm doing a fitness journey, if I'm doing something, like, am I committed? And commitment to me goes to that. Like, if I'm saying committed, I'm all in.
Yeah.
There's no half in, half out. Like, it's you're all or nothing. And I think that's where people fail to use that mindset of like, I'm all in. I'm going to give it everything I got, because it's like what Andy says. Like, people have that option B.
Yeah.
They have that other plan B that they're willing to. There was no plan B for this.
No.
We just said we were not saying that this is what we're going to do and this is it. But it wasn't like, well, if we do a podcast and, we can't get it to run, then we'll like maybe start just doing audio. Like, it was like, we're going to do video, we're going to do audio, we're going to do Spotify, we're going to do, YouTube, we're going to do all of it.
Might as well.
There was no, like, that just clicked to me. Like, we didn't talk about another way to do it.
No.
Even though with all the struggles we went through.
Plan A got altered. Don't get me wrong.
Definitely
Plan A got altered.
It did.
And we had to deal with the struggles. See how we're related to the house back? We had to deal with the struggles to stay committed to the goal of bringing stuff like this to the viewers, to the people that we want to connect with, the people that hopefully they can see. And, we started talking. I'm going to kind of go back to this. Me and you started talking before this, and I stopped you. Not to be rude, but I stopped you. But there's a reason. So we're going to get into a later date with more details, but we had a lot of struggles getting this podcast started to begin with. This has been since, I believe, middle of October. So it's not been crazy amount of time. I mean, we're February. We're a few months, but that's a long time it's not even that long, but
it's long, dude.
It's long.
2023.
Yeah.
October. We're now going into freaking, what is it? We're going to be March next month.
Yeah. So it's taken a lot of commitment for us. I mean, between different studios, different different mics, I mean, everything. We've recorded some that have just been absolute fails. But once again, back to your point, we never once had a plan B. Our plan was altered constantly. The plan A was always, it's going to be done.
Mm-hmm.
It was the details under, it's going to be done, that changed.
Right.
But we were committed, like you were saying. We were 100% committed. I just wanted to talk about it on here because it was starting to be such a great conversation, and there wasn't going to be some good recording on it.
No, I think it's fine, man. I think I didn't take it away, and I think, yeah, it's resistance, man. I tell Taylor this all the time. Like, when you start moving forward, when you start trying to do something different, I don't care what it is, there's always resistance.
There is.
Now, whether you choose to identify those that way or you choose to ignore them, say, my life just sucks, I can't believe this happened, it's just you moving forward.
It is.
It's just the way it works. I don't care what you do. You start a fitness journey, you start stuff just starts happening. And you're like, why is this happening? And you're like, oh, okay, I'm on track. I'm on track. Yeah. That's why. That something's trying to nah, just stay here. But it's that you got to hit the extra gear to just go. Like, that's what this was. It's just, there's a lot of fear, that's part of this part of commitment. There's fear that's attached to it, right? There was fear of failure. There was fear of failing at this and not being able to produce something that we can publish out and share with people. There was fear of being judged, of being like, oh, these guys don't know what they're talking about. But at the same time, like, I was fully committed. I wasn't going to let a fear of, oh, man, how are we going to make this work stop me from doing what we need to do. I saw a vision in October. I reached out and I was like, man, this is what I want to do. I think this is what we should do. It
didn't take long for me to say yes.
No,
either.
You're like, let's do it. But those are also the people that you want. It's like, let's just do it. Because the moment, if you would have been like, oh man, I don't know, dude. I just, you could have said that. You could have been like, I don't know, man. I don't know what I'm going to say. I don't really have any, I don't know. You could have made any excuse to try to pull out. But my vision was there, and that leads to the commitment. You have to have a vision too.
Yeah.
Because your fear is going to be there. I don't care what you do, fitness, fixing your marriage, building a business, starting a podcast. The fear will be there regardless. It's always going to be there. But your vision has to be bigger than your fear. Your dream has to be big. Our dreams are so much bigger. Just pushing this back to, where I'm channeling this segment is, commitment to me was being committed to what I said I would do to my wife. Oh, I'm going to bring you home. I'm going to, bring you home from work, and you're not going to have, that's already been communicated. So guess what? That commitment has to be stronger than the fear of me doing whatever I need to do.
Same.
Rejection, going out there and letting people know who I am, market, all these different things. You have to overcome it. If you stay in that fear, you'll never do anything.
No.
And we would have never done this. I mean, look, It's not exactly where there's even bigger visions for the studio. There's bigger.
Oh yeah.
Like there's a lot more that we plan on doing. And I've taken pictures of everything. So when we get to where we are and where we want to be, we'll look back and say, man, that was a crazy journey. Like, we're in the very beginning stages of it.
Yeah.
And we've already experienced a fraction of resistance. And
yeah, I was going to say that what we've gone through was just, I guess in me, it was to prove how committed we are to this, because we did, we went through quite a bit. With all this, what's your struggle to commitment? What is?
I think for me, it really is fear.
Okay.
Yeah. I the more I've gotten into, started kind of like working myself and figure things out. I have a huge fear of like judgment. I don't like exposing myself. Vulnerability is huge for me. But I made a commitment to myself that that's something that I want to grow in. That's something that I want to change. I I don't feel like I need that anymore where I was before the environment, the association. I think I felt like I needed a little bit of that edge where people don't really know me. Um, but I've gotten to a point in my life where judge on, like,
Yeah.
judge me. I'm not going to let fear or insecurity, like, stop me from doing what I need to do because I just have this one life. That's all I got. And so I'm committed to doing everything that I can because I got to, and also, too, I got to show my kid.
Yeah.
I do things sometimes. I'm like, I got to show her that I can do it. Because if I don't, she'll grow up with that. Like, oh, my dad, I remember my dad was like super scared to do this, or, you know what I mean? And I don't want to even give her even an ounce of that. It would just be like, to try to, not saying she's going to blame, but I want to do everything possible that she can look at it and be like, my dad did that. Like, my dad used to do that. Like, I can do this. You know what I mean?
That's stuff we try to teach our kids, and that's things we want to help teach the viewers is if you want it and you're committed to really wanting it, you can achieve it. You can have it. You know, it's all the big names out there, they talk about it, the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
If you are driven, if you have that vision, that's number one. If you have that goal, that's number one. But the commitment to getting there, that's the work you have to put in. It's going to be hard. It's going to be long. It's going to be, few months, might be years. It might be days, depending on what you're doing. It might be months, years. You never know. I mean, we're 4 months and we've got to the point we're at.
Yeah.
Like you said, I personally never dealt with, I never thought about fear ever.
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't really got to that point. I'm like, oh, it's going to be weird that I'm on camera, but,
yeah,
seeing myself and hearing myself. But at the end of the day, if the message is getting out there and people are agreeing with it, I'm going to continue. And I'm committed to continue being vulnerable and open and honest with everybody out there to get better. That's the only way we're going to get better.
Mm-hmm.
We're committed to this. We're committed to you guys. We're committed.
Right. And that's a good point. I think, I didn't use motivation or anything like that to progress forward. We one thing we've always talked about, like motivation, I've heard this, it always wears off. I think we've talked about this before. It's like motivation is, it should be the spark, but it's not the flame that's going to keep burning. It should just be just that little spark that you can get. And then your whatever commitment or discipline should be able to get you over the edge and continue burning forward or going forward. So this was never like a motivation thing. It wasn't, because if it's easy to lose motivation, especially when you're like, it's not going to drive you through when you're committed to something. It's not going to get you to where you need to be. It's not strong enough. You have to have a vision for yourself. It's with 75 Hard. Your vision is, whatever it might be. I want to complete this for me, to show myself that I can do this. I don't know. That was mine. That was my thing. I just wanted to commit to something and follow through.
Yeah.
So many times in life, and at least in my life, like I committed to things and I didn't finish them. I'm not proud to say this. Like I said, and we've talked about this before, I didn't read a book until, up until 5 years ago.
Oh, you got me beat.
And so it sucks to say that, like now that I'm a, big reader or whatever, but it shows my lack of commitment to following through and seeing something to the end. And so when I started 75 Hard, I was like, I just want to finish something. I just want to like give myself that confidence that I can start something and finish it. And your motivation won't get you there.
No.
Self-doubt will creep in. You'll start thinking like, can I really do this?
I was never motivated to start this. Same thing. I wanted to show myself that I could do something hard, that I could commit myself to doing something that was difficult. I mean, I was doing a decent amount, I was doing some of the stuff already. So it wasn't a huge change in my life, at least to do this, but it's also proven to myself that, like Andy talks about with going through it, the excuses people come up with, man, the commitment's just not there. Because if you're committed, the excuses don't come. Or if they do, you're like, to hell with you. I'm not listening to that excuse. Last night, I'm committed to finishing this. Unless I cannot physically finish it, I'm committed to finishing this.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't matter. And that's all it took last night was, well, do you want to have to admit you're back on day one, that you failed your own commitment? You know you're into doing this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not motivated to do anything. I didn't want to do anything last night. You know, my kid wanted to lay with me, and I wanted to go do my shit, but she wanted to lay with me. So I'm like, well, I might be going out at 10, 11 o'clock because the wife had gone out to a play with her friend. I might be doing my ruck at 11 o'clock at night because the
Right.
kid wants to lay with me. Granted, she let me go do my stuff, but,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that's just when you got to be all committed.
Mhm.
That's the only way to really put it. I mean,
There's no such thing as halfway in, halfway out.
no. And as far as like, you know, kind of going into the next thing, like strategies and stuff, ways to improve it, discipline, man. It all wraps together. If you're not going to be disciplined to get your ass moving, to go do what you need to do, why are you even committing? Why are you even saying you're going to do your goal?
But Dustin, I can't do it, man. I'm
I don't
busy,
give a
bro.
shit.
I'm busy, man.
Find time. I don't care.
But you don't understand how hard my day was.
Yeah, well, that sucks. I'm a very unempathetic person when it comes to excuses.
But that's what we need, though.
And I'm going to be very honest about it because I just don't care.
But that's what we need, though.
I
You know what I
agree.
mean? Like, I can't see you as my brother, call you my brother, and be like, oh, he's being a fucking bitch. I'm
Yeah.
just gonna let him be a bitch. Like,
no.
that just doesn't work. That shit bothers me, man. Like, you can call like, oh, what's up, brother? Oh, but then you see you're struggling and being a weenie about stuff. Like, oh, I'm just gonna let him chill. I'm gonna move forward, but yeah, let him whine about like, no, bro. Like you hold me accountable. I hold you accountable. Like, you're struggling, bro. Like, you gotta pick
Yeah.
this shit up, bro. Like, you said you were committed to this. You said you were doing this, right?
Yep.
Back to the podcast. If you weren't showing up, if you weren't doing what we needed to happen, I gotta tell you, like, I gotta be like, bro, like, you said you were doing this. Are we doing it or not? Are you in or not?
You know, like,
Luckily, I don't have to do with that. So
No, we dealt with that.
we're good. But no, I think, I just wanted to say that because you hear that all the freaking time, dude.
No, it was good because I
You know,
with even before I was on 75 hard, me and you talked, and you said to me, you're like, I'm almost scared to see how you would be.
Mhm.
And I don't know that I've lived up to that, but I wasn't taking excuses back then, and I refuse even more to take them now. You know, I hear a lot of them, to be honest with you. Like,
he's in the dark times right now.
I'm not, yeah, and I'm not. I don't know how to say this without being completely.
Just say it,
honest,
dude.
but,
Who cares?
you know, I look down on certain traits and certain habits,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not. It is mean. Let's just be real.
Okay.
But you don't have the commitment and the drive to change those habits.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that's just a huge bitch move.
Mm-hmm.
You know, someone who absolutely loves soda.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't had a soda in since December 31st. And I don't even think I got one on December 31st. I don't know if I did. It might have been December 30th. But I'm somebody that every week wanted a soda,
Mm-hmm.
and I haven't had one.
Mm-hmm.
I've cut back on a lot of, there's candy literally sitting at my house that I love. I haven't touched it. I go down into my wife's spot and clean it for her, as part of my help to her. Candy sitting there. I used to grab 3-4 pieces a night as I'm cleaning, and I would be like, oh, this is my payment for cleaning. No, I haven't touched them because I'm committed to this. And it just, that commitment to me doing this shows me how little people can commit to doing anything. Drinking, smoking, anything, giving it up. I'm not a smoker, so I guess I don't know, but they use it as a crutch, in my opinion. Same with drinkers. You could probably relate more to the drinking part, but they use it as a crutch. They use it as, in my eyes, because I'm not that person, they use it as a crutch. I can't do it. I'm addicted. Well, you can change your addictions. I'm wildly addicted to soda, but you can change it. You can modify. I don't crave it. I can go here, I can go to Fizz and I just get a water with some flavoring in it. Great. It's fine. The wife gets a soda, no big deal. The first couple of days, first like week or two, I was like, man, this freaking sucks. But once you start making these changes and you're committed to, you don't really think about the shit anymore, man.
You don't, man. It's second nature.
One of my good buddies has quit smoking, and I've asked him, I'm like, hey, you still doing good? He knows that it's coming from a loving place, and I'm trying to keep him accountable for his own actions.
Mm-hmm.
And when he says, yeah, same thing. He's like, I think he's 2 weeks out or something. And he's like, dude, I don't even think about it anymore. Until you ask me, I haven't thought about it. He's like, but I'm still doing great. And I'm proud of him. That is a commitment to finish because I know it's addicting.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean you need to make excuses to do it. Just be honest. I don't want to fucking quit.
Yep. And honesty will, what do they say? Like, the truth will set you free.
Yeah.
And the more there's a couple topics here. There's a couple things that we can hit on, right? Because we're talking about, strategies and that type of stuff. But quitting, so let's just put it in the avenue of like what you think is what you do.
Yeah.
So if you're constantly thinking like, I will not eat this soda. I will not drink this soda. I will not drink this soda. Guess what? You're thinking about soda, dude. Like, let it go.
Yeah.
You're just put it in your head, I'm not going to drink soda, and move on.
Yep.
Because the more you think about it, the more that craving will kick in, the more that voice in your head will be like, oh, you should have that soda. You deserve that soda. You'll like that soda. And so that's step one, thinking like what you think is astronomically will set you forward if you just can make the decision and don't worry about it. Like, if you are with the option or the option is there, then yeah, obviously be like, okay, what choice do I want to make? Do I want to make this one? Okay, make the choice. But I think back to also, he talked about, people not being able to quit certain things or working through, alcoholism or whatever. It is definitely hard, but it's also a decision. Like, the moment that you commit to what you need to do differently, you don't second guess it. Like, you don't have to go back and reanalyze it. And granted, there is some worse situations, I'm sure, for different people. But I think also too, I like to think about it's like a plaque. It's like a plaque on your teeth. So the more say this, this is I'm drinking alcohol. This is where I'm starting, right? I'm like, okay, well, I want to stop drinking. Okay, so you stop drinking, and then you're like, I'm just going to have a little bit of a drink. It's my birthday. I'm going to have a sip. I'm going to have a cup. Internally, you've already failed.
Yep.
You've already lost your commitment. So when I speak about plaque, it builds on it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that one loss will continue to eat at you. And then you'll be like, okay, I'm done. Oh, when it's my daughter's birthday. Like, we got to have a shot. All these failures of you uncommitting to what you said you would do will build in your mindset, and they'll build like plaque. It'll just start taking over. And so eventually you'll be like, you feel like shit because guess what? All your commitments that you've made to yourself, you failed.
Yep.
You haven't followed through to be able to complete them. And so the more that you do this to yourself, you're actually hindering yourself so much more. You're giving yourself so much more work that you have to undo just because you're not staying committed. That's why 75 hard was so important, because it's like I just need to finish it. And so I think when it goes back to strategies, like for me, one, fix your mindset, start working on being aware of what you're doing, not just doing it because you're doing it.
Yep.
That was a big one for me. Like, why am I wanting this soda? Why am I wanting this alcohol? Why am I wanting this chips? Well, I feel like shit. I feel like, I'm having a hard day. Oh, so you're trying to comfort yourself.
Yep.
So I'm trying to make myself feel better.
Been there.
And so that you have to be aware and identify these things. I think we talked about soda with you, which was soda was that comfort. It was that
100%.
that feeling of like, oh, okay, I deserve it, or if this will make me feel good. I had a hard day. Those are vices. They're crutches. They'll always have control over you. The more and more you feed them, the more they'll control your life in every aspect, and they'll flow into different things. Like
They really will. Kind of to hit on why my commitment is so strong. In December I lost my pup, and he was very, very close and dear to me, and it's still, it didn't go away, but we used that, my wife and I used that, we started to get a little out of hand for a minute, we were getting few sodas. We're like, well, we're having a really hard day. Let's go get a soda. Mm-hmm. Or, we've been dealing with a lot. Let's go out to eat. We didn't make the worst choices, but we still made choices that didn't fully positively impact us, because we were still going against what our original commitment was to one soda, one eat out meal. We were going against that because we wanted the comfort. We had lost our commitment, which was another driving factor for me to start 75 Hard. Was I needed to reevaluate myself and recommit to something, and I needed to find that. But a couple key points I want to hit on real quick is not only Andy Frisella said it, and then Jim Quick said something pretty close to the same thing. It's the words you use too. When you say, I'm going to try to complete this, you're going to fail. When you say, I'm going to try 75 hard, you're not going to make it because you're not committed. When you put that word try into there, which that's Andy Frisella, but then when you come back to Jim Quick, that's a mindset thing. I got done reading his book a little while ago, Limitless, and he talks about that when you, and I've changed how I talk too, because of reading that. When you introduce yourself to someone and you say, I am this, you've automatically said in your brain that that's what you're going to stay at. And if that's what you are, great. But if you're committed to being something different, that's where you need to change what you're saying or how you're saying. You can't, words are powerful. Mm-hmm. Your mind and words are powerful, and they will either help you win your commitment or they will help you lose your commitment, one way or the other. So one thing you guys got to do, watch your words, watch how you're using them, watch what you're using. If you're going to do something, I'm going to do this. Mm-hmm. I'm going to complete 75 hard. When I started it, I told my wife, I'm going to complete that this year. She said, this year or in 75 days? I said, well, in 75 days, I am completing it. But one way or another, it is getting done this year. And it is getting done. Right. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. But I am committed to finishing it regardless. It's going to be in 75 days unless there's things out of my control. Well, less than that now, but unless there's things that are out of my control. Because again, you talk to a lot of the big people. Control what you can control.
It's the power of the spoken word.
Yes.
You speak what you want.
Yes.
Not what you don't have, but what you want. What you need. It's a want versus need.
Yeah.
Do you need to do this or do you want to do this?
Yep.
So pick a side. Like there's no, it's the marriage thing, right? I'm going to try to be committed to you. I'm going to try to stay faithful. Or right. I will be faithful. I am faithful.
Right. So now
it flows right in, man.
So now my words are going to be, because I'm so committed to you and our audience here. Mm-hmm. When people ask, what are you? I am a YouTuber. I am a podcaster, a welder, because I will always be a welder. Mm-hmm. That is something I will always do in my spare time, regardless of where I'm at. But I am these things because I personally am so committed to doing these that I'm going to make this happen.
100%. Love it. No, I love that, man. I think it's true. The power of the spoken word is strong. And it's how you say it, like you said. It's not, I'm going to try. If I loaned you money and you're like, I'm going to try to pay you back, or I will pay you back, that makes a big difference.
It is.
So if you look at that with commitments, I will do this. I am doing this. I will not give up.
No.
And so now I think for measurable stuff, so I think one of the things that techniques that people can use is find people.
Yeah.
Find people that are in the same mindsets, that are trying to grow in the same capacity, and like have them as your partner, your accountability partner, your partner that's willing to keep you committed to what you want to do, right?
Yeah.
Whether, I know that I don't have to hold you committed to this. You know that you don't have to hold me committed to this, but it's like an unspoken thing where I'm like, for me, I'm like, okay, I know he's showing up, so I got to show up.
Yeah.
And so that's how you can use these things. Like, and I know if I saw something, I was like, oh, this dude's, he failed 75 hard or something. And then you like started going off a bender, like, dude, let's get back on it. Like, I'm down. I do that, like, in a heartbeat. Like, let's just do it. I do it with you, And so you have to find those people that are going to hold you accountable and be there with you through the journey, even if it's for, a season. Like, at least that will be there to help you progress forward. So those are something that people can use, because I know we've used it. To help kind of build that discipline that we talked about on the last episode.
I say it all relates back. You got to build that discipline. You got to build that accountability for yourself. You got to, you guys have to start, the whole point of this is growth. The whole point of this podcast is growth. And if you want to grow, we're going to continue to be in your ears. But if you don't want to grow, we're not going to. And that's okay, because we want to connect to the people that want to grow, that want to use these that we've used, discipline, accountability, commitment, to become something better, whether it is an entrepreneur, fitness, whatever it is. You have to have those goals. You have to be committed to them. And I hope we're along there with you. I hope we're there to support you guys on these journeys and stuff.
Yep. And we will be. I think people, as we are able to add more value to the market and show what we, are able to walking with people and helping people out and really being in the trenches with them. I think that will help. And, one of the things that also I think is important is visualizing what you want, speaking what you want, and visualizing, seeing it. I've always heard is like you almost want to, like, you're literally feeling like, you feel like, I want to be on the beach, in California in 6 months. This is what I got to do, whatever that would take you, right? They talk about literally feeling like your feet in the sand and just moving your feet in the sand. Like, picture yourself like, I'm jumping in the, I'm jumping on the plane. I'm sitting there with my black sweats, my white shoes. I got my white hat on. I've got my backpack on. I'm reading a book. This is the book. This is the chapter I'm on. I'm waiting for my flight to, like, all these things just to go to like, that's visualizing.
And that's commitment, because it takes a lot to commit 5-10 minutes to sitting there and really visualizing your dreams, your goals, your life, what you want. It takes commitment to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have to be committed to what goal you've set. And also, I think that's also kind of goes back to what we talked about, the fear of, like, losing that motivation or lack of discipline in doing it, because like I said, you've let yourself down so many other times that you're like, well, what if I dream and then I don't do it? Okay, well, what if you don't make it to California, but you make it to Vegas? Or you go past California, you go to Bali. Like, the outcomes are a million. Choose your one and stay committed to it and just follow through, instead of thinking of all these other options of, like, what if? What if? Well, there is no what if. This is what it is.
Yeah.
This is where I'm going. And so you stay committed to it and you do it. And I think people get so much in their head, like, I don't want to set myself up for failure. Well, dude, you're already failing if you're already thinking like that. Just do it. Just follow through 110%, 100%, like 110, 100%, and just do what you said you were going to do. Do the actions that you said you were going to do, right? Commitment is actionable.
Yeah.
Like, it's not this fairy dust stuff. Like, it's, you do what you said you would do. There's actionable items to it. So those are some of the things people can use. Visualizing, checklists are big. That's the thing I like about 75 Hard. That clicking that button makes
Yep.
me feel fuzzy inside. So
You know, when it comes to setbacks, guys, that's all that is rerouting your plan. We again, we
holy shit, dude.
we had so many setbacks to get to the point that we could release our first episode. We originally talked about releasing our first episode the week, I believe it was the week before or the week of Thanksgiving. Something along those lines.
It was even before then, but yeah, it
Well,
was.
that was the original plan A, not the altered plan A.
Yeah.
Because altered plan A, we'd finally got some stuff set down, finally got some stuff figured out. You know, and this is a weekly thing, guys. We've been doing it. There's only been, I think, 2 Sundays we missed, and that's because I was out of town. I was not in the country for one. No, I was in the country for both, but I was on the other side of the U.S.
You weren't
for
within
both.
distance. Let's just leave it at that.
I was not in distance for both, or I was just got off a plane. It was the only thing. So from mid-October, I believe, to February, whatever today is, the 11th.
Halfway through February, dude.
Yeah, the 11th. We've been every single week except those 2 weeks. So we're committed, and we got what felt like nothing done in those time frames, but we actually got a lot accomplished because we got to the point that we could get out to the viewers.
And it's inevitable.
Yeah, setbacks are inevitable. You reroute. Last night, setback, I wanted to go out. The wife went out to dinner with her friend into a play, and I'm like, hey, girls, we're going to go do this, and then when we get back, I'm going to go do this. Mm-hmm. We were going to go to the park, but then it was weird snow flurries, and I'm like, well, it's just going to end up not great. So setback number 1, go get dinner, come back, eat dinner. Setback number 2 is the youngest is like, hey, I don't want you going out. All right, well, I'm going to come lay down over here. I'm going to go out. Well, I don't want you to. All right, well, another setback. I guess there's nothing I can do now. Setback after setback. It's all about replanning and readjusting. There's always, I shouldn't say there's always, 99% of the time there's another way. Mm-hmm. There's a different avenue you got to take. There's different words you got to use. There's different time frame you might have to go. I mean,
100% there's always another way.
Yeah.
It's not 99.
Yeah, I guess that is true. There's always another way.
Perspective is key because you're in your mind. I'm not saying like you personally, but in people's mind, that's where perspective and having somebody in your life they can see things you can't see. Because think about it, you're here, I'm behind you. I got this. Yeah. I got this view. You know what I mean? That's where perspective comes in and says, "Hey, buddy, like, just take this right real quick.
Yeah,
and I can see where you're going. I've done this. Take that right there." But that mindset, that's what most people have, right? Like you're 99. Most people are 99. That's where I was for a long time, because you're like, well, that's where that brotherhood comes in and says, hey man, I got that 1% for you. You know what I mean?
It's like Shia LaBeouf said on his interview with John Berthenol. He talks about how the wiggle room.
Freaking love that episode, dude.
I've listened to it way too many times that I feel comfortable admitting how many times I've listened to it. But I
love that episode.
But the perspective that he has, because I looked up to him for years. I love Shia LaBeouf and a lot of his stuff, and then he just disappeared, and I didn't know why. Mm-hmm. But I don't keep up with current events. I mean, if you're out there, you're out there. I mean, I don't know any of the actors, actresses nowadays, it feels like. But he talks about having that wiggle room, and that's that 1% that you need to get rid of, mm-hmm. whether it's brotherhood, yourself, friends, family, whatever, mentors. That's that wiggle room. You need to get rid of that wiggle room, mm-hmm. because you are right. If you're not 100%, there's another option. You have that wiggle room to make up that excuse to say, well, shit, kid wants to cuddle, wife's not here, it's cold, it's snowy, I got a booger up my, I don't know, whatever the hell you want to come up with, but that's that 1% excuse. Mm-hmm. Between the people in my circle, that 1% has been taken up, mm-hmm. because I'm pretty well 99, mm-hmm. if not 100 anyways. I don't have it. I have the option, but I don't, if that makes sense to anybody. I don't have the option of failure because I don't like to fail. I don't like, yeah, I mean, ultimately, I don't like to fail. I know I'm going to have failures, and that's okay because I'm going to learn from those failures. But I have a zero quit mentality. I will not quit this. I don't want to quit. You know, I always joke with my wife, you know, there's no plan B.
Mm-hmm.
There's zero plan B. You know, and it's always in a joking manner when we're talking about any of this, but there's no plan B.
There isn't, man.
That's the way I look at it. She's like, well, what if? And I said, well, there's no what if. There's no plan B. I'm telling you. And she just laughs because she knows it's true.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, I'm so committed to her and the kids and this. You know, there's no plan B. Man, the alterations in A are ungodly long, but you know, if you started to break it down, man, that root system is deep.
Mm-hmm.
but there's no plan B. That's never an option.
Right.
I don't like to have that as an option. There is no option. I mean, it's they say it a lot. When you have a plan B, that's your wiggle room. That's your failure point. That's your I'm quitting and moving on.
That's your quit button right there.
Yeah.
It just stares at you. It allows you to it just sits right in front of you, waiting for you to use that 1%, that little click of I quit. So I think you hit on like everything there, dude. I think it's
kind of went off.
No, it's because it all flows in together. You know what I mean? Like this podcast, and related to that, has had, because it's the most current, it's the one we're living right now. There's obviously other setbacks and things that we're dealing with, but this podcast has been setback after setback.
Yep.
But we never looked at it as like, I never looked at it as failure. There's like things that maybe I wanted to do better. There's things that we're still doing better. I'm still improving, trying to improve the quality. I'm trying to do everything. Those failures that we've seen throughout the videos that I've seen, I'm like, I'm going to improve on that.
Yeah.
But I love it because, and even the way that we've communicated with each other, the way that, you know, I respond to you, the way you talk, like all these different things, I see it as like, man, I'm just getting better. We're just getting better. We're getting better at this. Like, I'm embracing all that stuff that just, you know, it doesn't look the way I want it to, the way you see others. I love it because I'm like, dude, 5 years down the road,
we're gonna look back.
I'm gonna look back, like, dude, that was some crazy times, bro. Do you remember we were sitting there?
Yep.
You know,
we're gonna be sitting in the studio, and we're gonna look back and be like, man, do you remember when we did this in your basement or your at your house?
House, man. And it's just, I embrace that. I love it. I love learning from it. But those are the way you have, like, everything that you hit on, like, it's the exact same thing. You got to embrace it. You got to learn from it. You got to be able to take this setback and the experience and be able to not only move forward, but also apply it to other things, right? And then that helps build that resilience in you and in your belief system. Like, I can do this.
Yeah.
Like, all that imposter syndrome and all that stuff, doubt, self-doubt. Oh, I'm overcoming it. I'm doing it. I'm moving forward. I have a brother that I could seek perspective from. That if this episode sucked, like, dude, that sucked. What do you think? Yeah, dude, it sucked. Oh, okay. How are we gonna fix it? Right? You know what I mean?
Yep.
So we seek that support system and that 1%, which is why, you know, we want to build something different. We want to build a community where we can get around people and support, give people that 1%, and maybe not specifically us, but the other members and people that they can connect to on a deeper basis, give you that 1% where they can have your back.
Yeah, we want to break the mold, like, because it's so taboo to talk about some of this stuff. Even it's in the men's mental space, you know,
which we're tired of. Like,
yeah, I'm tired of it.
We don't need to live like that.
No,
we don't.
No,
like this whole we can't talk about, like, we're talking about it anyways. We're just not talking about it with anybody else. We're talking about it in our heads. And then we get all freaking crazy and stressed out.
Yep.
And so, no, man, I think we've hit on everything, dude. Like, this is the key. It's just, you need to find support systems too. Build systems in your life, find people that are like-minded.
Yeah. And
move forward with your commitment. You'll find how commitment become easier when you have somebody next to you and be like, yeah, dude, I'm on the same road. Oh, you experienced this? You felt this too? Yeah, I felt that too. Oh, okay. You normalize it.
Yep.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. I'm not unique in that sense. You know what I mean?
Yep. So what challenge you got for him this week?
Ooh, commitment. I think for me, guys, I would say, okay, so find something that you failed at before. It can be as small as soda,
Reading a book.
reading a book, going to the gym. Find something that you've committed to yourself before and you failed at it, and do that for 1 week. 1 week. Show up for yourself for 1 week. And that 1 week after Sunday, show up Monday. Show up Monday and then show up one more day. Do that one more time. Just do that. And if you haven't picked up the book, we're not no way connected with him.
No.
But I look up to him. I think he's a great just person and human in general. Pick up The Power of One More. That would be my challenge to you is do something that you have failed at before, whether it be whatever task you want. Do it for 1 week straight and go pick up that book. Read that book while you're doing that challenge.
I highly, highly suggest reading the book because that is a big commitment to read a book. Worst case, at least listen to it on freaking audio, guys.
At the very least.
At the very least. The only reason I suggest is you get the power behind him because the one I listened to, he narrated it himself. And so you can tell when the stuff that is emotional and hits to him hits home. So my challenge, guys, kind of go along the same thing. Pick something up and commit to it for a week. The only thing I would like to do, tag us in it. If you do it and you've done it for a week, tag us in it. I'd love to see it. I'd love to repost, share if we can. You know, but that's mine. Find something, even as simple as, like I said, reading a book. Kind of going in with Ben here today. Read a book. 10 pages a day. Commit to it. You'll find yourself being, by day 7, it's pretty, okay, I got to get it done. If you have to, set an alarm to do it. You know, but I'm telling you, commit to it. And then, like he said, after day 7, do it one more day. And then one more day. You'll find a lot of power in doing that, no matter what you do.
Love it. No, man, another great one. And like he said, tag us in those because that's a great one.
Yeah,
tag
guys.
us in that, and we'd love to share your stories with us, with everybody else, and what you've committed to for the week. So we love you guys.
Last thing, real quick, guys, if you have listened and have shared, absolutely tag us. Let us know. Good, bad feedback, guys. We want to do the best we can for you guys. We're gonna give you the best we can every single week that we are here. So if you liked it, let us know. You know, we've gotten a few messages. You showed me one. I sent you one the other day. You know, guys, this is what we're talking about. Getting those messages is great. We love hearing the feedback, whether it's positive, negative, whatever it is. If we can help you, guys, just let us know.
All right, guys. Well, check us out. YouTube, Spotify. We're on Instagram. All the information will be below. Connect with us. We love to connect with you. We love to share your story. And like I said, just give us some feedback. We'd love for it. And thank you for joining us on another great episode. Subscribe, share, all that good stuff, guys. But we love you guys. Thank you guys for supporting us. And another great episode. See you guys.
Have a good one.